Hello everyone and welcome to the Modiphius Twitch channel, and this our not first session but our pre-game session, our session 0 of Dreams of Machines, our new RPG here at Modiphius that we launched this year, and we're excited to get out there into the world and for you all to experience and enjoy. Yes, the starter set is out, the course is all coming out very shortly. It's all on pre-order, so make sure after the show, not during or before, but after the show, you jump on the website and check it out, dreamsmachines.com, and the Modiphius websites as well. Get yours pre-ordered because you get all the PDFs straight away. But yes, why are we here? What are we doing? We're here to start our actual play series of Dreams of Machines. Welcome to Avira Prime. And this is our session 0. This is our session 0. This is our character creation session, where my amazing cast here are going to create their characters, and we're going to kind of build this group from the ground up, ready to go adventuring into this new world that no one's played in. Well, some of you might have, but not many people have played in yet, so we can show it off to you. So before we start, I'm just going to go around the table and introduce ourselves, so you know who we are, and put names to faces, even though they're on the screen. So, going in clockwise order, the first one is Josephine. Who are you?
Hi, I'm Josephine McAdam, at JCBIM on all socials and stuff, if you want to keep excited.
Thank you very much. Rachel.
Hi, I'm Rachel Beauregard. You can find me on Instagram at Manic Pixie Tank Girl.
Thank you. Next up is Phil.
Hi, my name is Philip Correa, and on my socials I am M Philip Correa. You know what? If you figured out, you figured out. If not, try to come find me. It's a game.
Perfect. Logan, you're up next.
Hi, I'm Logan Quinn. I am Logan Quinn Film on Instagram, or you can find me on Twitch at Tank Loves You.
Nice. Thank you very much. Jaden, you are my last player.
Oh hey, it's Jaden King, and you can find me on all social media at It's Jaden King.
Wonderful, thank you very much. And I'm Danny. I'm one of the project managers here at Modiphius. I'm the project manager for Dreams of Machines. It just so happens. If you want to bother me on socials and find out what I'm up to, it's check for traps on everything, everywhere, all the time. So yeah, so that's us. That's who we are. And we are here to create some characters for this game. So, to fill you all in, my players, this amazing group here, have had a look at the player's guide. They've had a chance to peruse the different origins, archetypes, temperaments, and everything that goes into creating a character to get a little bit of a heads up and get a bit of an idea of what they wanna make. But you lovely people at home, you haven't looked at this maybe, so we're going to have a quick chat, a quick run through of the world, the setting, and the people of Avira Prime, to fill you in a little bit of background and kind of get you up to speed, to the same level as our players here. So Avira Prime is a new world, for a better part, that we have colonized. Humanity have moved on from Earth, and we started colonizing the stars, and we found this planet called Avira Prime, and we set up a colony here and created a super high-tech advanced civilization on the planet, to the point where we wanted to live in luxury. We wanted to live this high life with these advancements we have and this amazing technology we have. So rather than having to deal with the infrastructure and deal with the day-to-day mundane work, we did the smartest thing, and we built a centralized AI to manage that for us, because it just makes sense. It's just the way it goes. So we built this AI called the Builder, and it made different little robots and mechs and little service things and stuff to deal with all the mundane jobs, so we could live this high life. And that's the way the world went on for many years. And then something happened. Something we could never have planned for, could never have figured out, never have expected. Somehow the Builder got corrupted. And the situation was, it sent out a signal to all these mechs around the world and infected them all with nightmares. So that these mechs all heard this incessant screaming almost. And we had a sort of kill all humans situation. And we had a big robot war, kind of apocalyptic size event where we had to fight back against these mechs, and it pushed us out of these mega cities and these big metropolis that we had created for ourselves. And then we did the almost obvious thing is we dropped a few bombs on the builder and the mechs in the fighting, as happens during war, and we damaged it enough that it stopped sending out the signal, and all these giant mechs that it had created went dormant across the landscape. The problem is these mechs were quite heavily armored, and we'd knocked ourselves back a little bit by having to evacuate these key locations where we had all our tech. So we've not really got the means anymore to deal with them, so they just kind of litter the landscape, and it's kind of a, you know, ignore that it's there, put a tarp over it, put a fence around it, and kind of just pretend it doesn't exist and move on with our lives. And that is the kind of the world we live in now. We are 200 years post this apocalyptic event, living in this world in a new way, a slightly less technological way as we did before, because we don't have access to it anymore. The builder kind of controlled everything for us, and now we've not got the builder. We have to kind of fend for ourselves a little bit more. So we still have technology, we still, you know, have technological marvels in this world, but not to the degree we once had. And these metropolis and these mega cities of the world are now kind of more like red zones, as they were, a little bit more of a danger location. Some are abandoned and still working. You know, you can still see the lights in the skyscrapers in the distance, still turning on at night, and some are more ruined due to large-scale warfare that happened there, and bombing and so on. But we've kind of built our own communities and settlements and groups around the world, more outside of the cities, in more of the nature and the land itself. And these groups have kind of split off into their own different factions. And these are the factions that our players will be picking from. And there is no centralized government anymore, because that kind of went down with the war and with the AI going on. So everyone kind of has their own ideologies. Each faction has their own ideologies of how they see the progression of man on the planet, but everyone has that same goal of progressing the human race here, just a little bit different in each one. But the issue we have in this world, you know, 200 years post this, and where we've rebuilt our lives and moved forward, and generations have been and passed since this war, is we put a tarp over these big mechs that are just kind of sat there. But for some reason, they've started waking up. Just the odd one here and there started waking up. And when they wake up, they seem to be doing the same thing they did before, which is kill all humans. So
Cool.
we now have this new threat that we have to deal with within our daily lives, beyond just the wilds of the land and the creatures that inhabit this world alongside us, is we have the occasional roaming giant mech with laser pulse cannons and EMP weapons and so on, just wandering around. And the issue we have as well is if one of these wakers, as they're called now because they have awoken from their slumber, sees another dormant mech, it will wake that one up as well. So you can, depending on the area where you are, you can get this chain reaction. And besides just these giant mechs and the interesting creatures of the world, there are some shadowy people, shall we say, skulking around every now and then, attacking small villages and communities, stealing this, that, and the other, and kind of not bothering who's in their way. They will take them down to get to their target, that we now have to deal with as well. So there's some bad people, there's some big mechs, and there's some interesting creatures roaming this world that you are all living in, you've grown up in. So there's a little bit of background on the setting. Now the people of Avira Prime, you. There are different factions. As I said, everyone's kind of split off. So the general populace of the planet are called Ivirans. They are your hearty, stoic, everyday people. They're the keep calm and carry on sort of mentality. You know, this is us. This is where we are. you know, what happened in the past happened, and we're here to, you know, we just want to live, we just want to move forward, move beyond it, and that is kind of your everyday Joe kind of person, and that is one of the origins you can pick is an Averan. We also have the Archivists, who are our kind of tech savvy group. Now the Archivists are a faction that believe that, you know, as the human race progressed and advanced with technology in the past, why we're not still trying to do that post. You know, we had these amazing technological advancements. Let's reclaim what we had, research it, reuse it, repurpose it, and keep moving forward, so that we can better ourselves than we were before, and move beyond what we were, and keep pushing forward in that sense. And that's what the Archivists do and are. So if they find a key resource, they will build a community around it and utilize that resource, and they will then start researching it, trading in it, and use that as their kind of main focus in these different Archivist communities. But they are your like heavily teched out group, as it were. Another group, another origin we have is the Rivers. Now, Avira Prime is a beautiful planet, and it is full of riverways. All the continents on here are very much full of riverways, and mechs, being big metal electrical kind of creatures, don't really like water that much, so you find a lot less dormant mechs around water and around the waterways. So the Rivers are a faction that have brought themselves up on the waters. They are born there, they live there, they die by the water. That's who they are, and they are the lifeblood almost of Avira Prime, transporting people, cargo, everything, news, medical supplies up and down the waterways, from one settlement to another in the safest kind of form they can, avoiding land travel, to the point where a river, their surname is usually the boat that they were born and live on. So if you think the way when we developed this, which was Logan Bose and Jennifer Kretschmer designed the Rivers, they did a lot of research into the Romani gypsy culture and like trucker culture as well, and that kind of constantly moving collective. So you get some kind of inspiration from there. But they're a fun group. Next we have the Dreamers. Now the Dreamers are an interesting group. They were started from the scientists of the old world, and they were the ones there, the brilliant minds of the world and of the time, and they were kind of, when all this kicked off and the builder became corrupted and everything happened, their mentality was, you know what, we took a step too far. Relying on AI and pushing forward with AI, you know, it's clearly a step too far, because look at what it has done to us here. So they've taken the option of, let's take a step back from this. Let's live a slightly more naturalistic lifestyle. Like, we still, you know, they're smart people, they're chemists, they're biologists, they're physicians. They still utilize technology, but they shun away from computerized technology, as it were. They don't want to utilize the sort of technology that could progress forward into something as extreme as the building, what the builder had created. So they take that kind of more rudimental route. So a lot more steam powered, a lot more mechanical, a lot more nature based. But they're still a very bright group. They are slightly, I wouldn't say opposed to, but they don't necessarily get on the best with Archivists, as they're two very strong opposed mindsets. So I'm just saying, if anyone wants to play a Dreamer and an Archivist in here, then we're going to have an interesting group. And then the last faction to talk about is the Spears. Now, the Spears are our best way to describe it, Monster Hunter World version of a group. They are our mech hunters. So they live a very best to describe it, family orientated route. They're very steeped in tradition and kind of ceremony. They are more nomadic and move around. You can sometimes find a group of spears that have kind of planted roots in a location. But yeah, they're very much a mech hunter group. Their primary weapon is their electro spear, which is again a big spear that's electrified. That is great for getting in between armor plating and cracking open holes in mechs to aid the rest of their group in finding that weak spot. But their spear is kind of their family, their heritage. Is the spear is passed down in the generations, and each generation is passed down to a different braid is placed on the spear to show the lineage of the family within that. And every mech that is taken down by a spear, they will pull wires from it and they will tie those wires to their spear as well to kind of signify their kill and show their status within the group. And a spear will go through a rite of passage as well as a teen into an early adult to claim that their spear in taking down their first mech as well. It's a fun group as well if you want to kind of go for the fighter sort of phase. But that's our origins. They're the different factions of Vera Prime and the people you can play. Then moving more into the character creation, once you get past your origin, you have your different archetypes and the different kind of character types and kind of almost classes, as it were. You can play with those. So before we jump into the archetype stuff, is there any origins that kind of stand out to any of you that you've looked into?
Yeah, who knows already? Who's like, I'm playing this? Let's hear it.
Pretty much everyone. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Go for it.
So, in terms of origin, I believe I'm gonna play as a Viren.
Okay.
Okay.
I really just dig their sort of community-oriented, like, we're all just doing the best we can with what we got mentality, and that's kind of core to the type of character I want to play this game. I really like and I think I'm going to take this special ability, Everyone's Friend, which is useful for forming like bonds within the team. And I just dig that sort of.
Cute.
They're not particularly anyone special. So, yeah, you know.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
That's really sweet.
So who else? I saw Jay. You had your hand up.
Yeah. I'm leaning the archivists because information is power, and I just like the idea that I kind of hoard all the knowledge. And I also like the idea of the glyph pen because the stylus means I can just draw and basically do graffiti, digital graffiti, and we're gonna Miles Morales this life up one way or another.
Okay. So for those watching, you can tell my players have had a good look through the book, some of the things they get, but we'll get onto those in a minute as well. Logan, you have an idea as well, I believe.
Yeah, I'm super interested in the spears. I think it's a really cool concept. I love the nomadic culture. I think it's also really interesting with kind of like the spear ethos is that no one's ever left behind. Mm-hmm. Every human is worth defending against these machines. This idea that, it doesn't matter if I don't even like you, like I'm not going to let this machine get to you kind of thing. And I think it would be it's a cool concept. Just this very warrior culture.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that whole mentality of no one gets left behind is a cool feature we have with the spears, because like even in the sense of everyone stands shoulder to shoulder to each other. So if it's a case of like within your upbringing or through anything that would hinder you in doing that, they will do everything they can to put you shoulder to shoulder to everyone. So if you were born with a disability, they will do everything they can to help you and equip you in a way that keeps you all shoulder to shoulder as well, which is really nice. Yeah, I do like that one. I played when we did the early play test, and I was the spear. So yeah,
nice.
Rachel's run away, so we're gonna go to Joe.
Wait, no, can we wait for Rachel to come back? Because I'll pick, if one of them hasn't gotten chosen, I will for sure pick the one that hasn't been chosen, but it depends what Rachel picks.
Okay. No problem. Oh, she's back. Good. She didn't go far. You ran away.
My light ran out of battery, but that's okay. We make it work.
All good, all good. What sort of character, what sort of origin were you thinking, Rachel?
I was looking at a dreamer, which is funny because
Okay.
you said if we have a dreamer and archivist. But yeah, like Joe was saying earlier about like falling into types we play a lot. And I feel fall into roles where I don't want to say like I'm trying to be a leader, but characters who are very competent or like they are
Headstrong, maybe, or
yeah. So I was thinking somebody who isn't the tech person, and I want to kind of walk this line of not necessarily being likable or unlikable or like awkward, or just trying to find a new kind of interpretation of a character that isn't too archetypal, I guess, which is ironic. But yeah, I really like the idea of not being into the tech and using a lot of knowledge about nature and like science that is like things that are science, but not necessarily tech. Like Danny and I were talking about this, just like things more like just like physics and chemistry and using the natural world for stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm leaning.
Okay.
okay, I'm going river.
Okay.
It's the one I was thinking anyway. But yeah, so I think I'll be raised on the rivers, and have probably transported many things to every group here.
Yeah, more than likely. You would have met, every single group by being on the river. You'll have transported potentially all the other players to another location at some point during your time. Okay. So we have an Aviran, Archivist, Spear, Dreamer, and a river. Amazing. So, for those with character sheets, which is all of you,
Oh yeah.
if you look under Origins in the Player's Guide, it's page 94, for anyone following along, each Origin will give you certain parts of your character for your sheet. You'll gain a truth, your attributes, skill points, tech level. You potentially get an increase or decrease to your spirit, and it'll tell you an increase in supply points, and you'll get special abilities. You get one of 2 special abilities,
Oh, we get one.
I think. Let me double check that. Each origin,
No, yeah, you're probably right.
one or more. One or more.
Yeah, so they made it. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
wait,
like
we
for
get two.
for spears we get one by default, and then I get to pick one.
Yes.
I think everyone kind of gets that, with the exception of
Oh, yeah.
artists. We're like,
Oh.
I don't need nothing but me.
I got my stylist.
Talents?
Check here.
Yeah, where would
Either that or in this character truth. No.
So special
Maybe.
abilities. Dreamer gets any 2 of the 3.
Do I put it under talents on my character sheet though?
It will go under. Let me double check for you.
and do you want us to go over which
Yeah.
ones
Yeah,
we're
pop it in your
choosing
talents.
as well?
I can't. Not right.
Say that again, Joe.
Do you wanna hear what abilities we're going with?
Yeah. Let's see what you're picking.
Okay, I'm gonna choose. So I get 2. Just what they need, which means my pack is bulging with things I no longer have need for, but that others might find a purpose for. And once per session, when you trade with another character, I can spend up to 3 supply points to reveal that I'm carrying an item worth up to 2 coin per supply point spent, which is something valuable to whomever I'm trading with.
Nice.
So just like just got what you need, baby. And then I think I'll also take Haggler, so I have a knack for haggling and negotiation, can spot the opportunity to get the best deal. And lets you add +1 to the cost of an item I'm selling or reduce the cost of an item by 1. And yeah, it's like a once a day.
Nice. Like it. Who else knows what special abilities they're going for?
So, looking at the Avirans, they get everyone's friend. They just have that, so that's pretty sick. And then I decided to take the glyph pattern clothing. So you own and routinely wear items of clothing, often a cloak, coat, shawl, poncho, that is patterned with like these the glyph sort of like symbols on them. And as an action, you can perform a dance that does not require a skill test that will make you difficult or more difficult to attempt or perceive by a machine, which is pretty cool. I just like the concept of I've got this cool scarf, and if I dance a certain way, I can fool the machine.
Yeah,
it's great.
Another way to look at that as well is if you think in Dune, the way the Fremen have a specific walk they do so that they don't attract Shalahood, the sandworms.
Yeah.
You kind of compare it to that a little bit as well.
Very cool.
Nice. That's a cool one. And glyphs as well. Glyphs in this setting. So they're, for those interested, a glyph is a pattern you can put onto something similar to a QR code in the real world. And basically the mech's optical scanners, when they see that, they'll scan it and basically do as the glyph states. It kind of automatically puts that command onto them. And you can using a glyph pen, which archivists tend to have a lot, is you can spray these glyphs onto things or onto yourself to assist in kind of stopping mechs coming near you or doing things that may assist you in getting rid of them. But yeah, and they have it on clothing as well, so you can do it on clothing. Okie dokie. So speaking of archivists, Jay, do you get special abilities?
I get only one. I don't even get a choice. They just tell me I get the only one we get. Glyph lore. I possess knowledge of ancient sigils and patterns which affect machines known as glyphs. They can describe on-surface objects or even people to provoke an instinctive response. I possess a stylus, a nanotech writing implement that can mark any surface and erase previous marks. And I come with 2 glyphs pre-known.
Okay. You can have a peruse, and if you want to let us know what glyphs you want to pick, by all means, let us know.
I can tell you now.
I knew you'd know.
I couldn't help it. I'm like loving the glyph features. So I get either 2 level 1s or 1 level 1 and 1 level 2. So I have chosen Glitch. Upon seeing this glyph, the machine seizes up and it processes overwhelmed by a burst of junk data and logic errors. It must spend its next action cleaning the errors and problems, which I made a note that I make them dance.
Okay.
And then I also have Discharge. Upon seeing this glyph, the machine safely discharges its powered tools and weapons, preventing them from being used until they're recharged. And I made a note that what this does is it plays some of my mixtape out loud and forces them to drain their battery.
That's pretty cool.
Okay.
Perfect.
I like it. Okie dokie. Logan, have you got an idea of what you want to pick?
No, that's a perfect segue because spears also use glyphs, but in a very different way. The default ability I have is Hunter Glyphs, which is basically that my body's covered with tattoos, scars, war paint, clothing, that sort of thing. All these markings all over my body with glyph patterns to conceal me from the optics of the machine, so that basically I have like a default stealth. Anytime I'm in a scene with a hostile machine, I can try to hide from it, even if I have no cover, no concealment, nothing like that, and I can hide from the sights and sensors. And if I take a hostile action or one of the other parties take a hostile action, then I'll be spotted. But yeah, I basically got a default stealth mode.
Very nice.
And then for my choices, I am going for Spear's Blend,
Okay.
which is basically that, through the old lore, I can make this special blend of herbs, plant oils, chemicals, sorry, cat, things like that. And it makes me fearless, heightens my reflexes, numbs me to pain. If one of the other members of the party had some, it would be poisonous to them. But, because I've grown up with this, I have this resistance. And the way the ability works is I spend a supply point to administer the blend, whether it's inhaled, drank, rubbed on my gums, something like that. And it gives me spirit when I'm using the Adrenaline Rush ability.
Very nice. Okay,
And I
cool.
just say that makes me think of Octane from Apex Legends for anybody that plays.
Oh
just
yeah.
can't start
It's very much like it's got like that Mad Max Fury Road
Yeah.
vibes to it. Yeah. I saw that and I was like, that's got to be it. That's done. Easy.
Very nice. Rachel, what are you thinking?
Okay. It's hard because all three of mine are kind of cool, but I think I'm going to use one techless. You have learned to rely on basic, almost primitive tools, eschewing the advanced devices that were used in the old world. While this can make life harder, it can help avoid the synthetic gaze of machines, which are drawn to signals produced by old tech. Whenever a machine attempts a skill test to detect you, increase the difficulty of its skill test by 1. If there is an ally with higher tech level in the same zone, however, whenever you attempt to use an item of higher tech level than your own, add an extra +1 to the threat. A lot of that feels like nonsense to me at the moment, but I'm sure we will get there. But yeah, that seems kind of like intrinsic to the origin.
Yeah. Fits the vibe you're going for
and-
as well.
Yeah, and the other one I really like is natural traps. Yeah, it's more just words, but I like the idea of almost being like not like not like Aragorn, but like just somebody who is very dangerous, but like in a very sneaky sort of way, and using, like I said, like physics and chemistry and that kind of stuff to almost, it seems a bit more defensive rather than being because like talking about spears going out and like actively attacking the wakers and stuff, this is more of a protective sense, so it kind of goes with the them being very insulated as a culture. So yeah, I really like that. The other one is a first aid feature, which I think is really nice, but like I just think the techless and the natural traps are just more fun.
I love that you
Sorry,
let us know
guys.
you're not taking the first aid.
Oh yeah.
You'll be
It's okay,
fine.
like half the party has natural stealth, it sounds like, so far.
Yeah.
No, I have 0 sneak.
Yeah, you and me, we're in the
Yeah.
open. Everyone else is like, I don't
You
do
see me
tech or I
coming down the
dance. Or
river.
yeah, you come down the river and I'm like clunking gear, kink, 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 kink.
We're all gonna die.
Either
Maybe
you're all
I'll
gonna
change
die or
before we
half will
finalize
die.
anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. I like that. So for your origins in terms of character sheet stuff, again, it's going to give you your attribute points for your attributes, which are your 4 kind of key skills, key things that you will be rolling on, which is might, quickness, insight, and resolve. I'll talk about attributes and skills and kind of the mechanics in a little bit, and then you'll gain your skill points as well, which go into move, fight, sneak, talk, operate, study, and survive.
Danny,
yes.
what are, like, because right now we're putting numbers in here. What are good numbers?
Who knows? It all depends on the role.
I'm pretty fond of 25. That's one of my favorite numbers.
So like most of mine, I don't know about you, but like they're all 1 and 2, right? In the skills.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
I guess that's just the norm. It doesn't mean
Yes.
anything to me right now.
No,
so I'm saying.
it's as this is one of our 2d20 systems. It's roll under.
So is
Yes.
that bad?
Well, it means you've got to roll under a 1, or you've got to roll equal to or under. So if it's a
Okay,
1
so
or a
they're very
2,
low skills to start.
yes.
Got it.
But again, I'll
Yeah.
explain the mechanics
Yeah.
in a little bit, and then it'll all become clear. It's not doom and
Okay.
gloom. You will succeed at least some rolls.
Got it. Okay.
Cool.
Cool. And then we have our tech level as
Yes.
well, and then our attributes,
Your attributes
which are
and
a little
then-
bit higher to start.
Yes.
Okay.
And then,
and then for supply points.
supply points, we sort out at the end,
Okay.
and then you
That's
get
at
to
the
add
end.
that. Yeah. So there's going to be a
The
little bit
same
of
as
back
the
and forth
spirit.
with it. Yeah.
Okay.
There's some finishing touches, and then you kind of add on top of those from your origins and your archetypes. So,
Perfect.
speaking of archetypes, in essence, your character classes, we have. Let me double check because it's been a minute. 3, 4, 6 archetypes you can choose from. And again, these give your character a little bit more purpose and position within the faction and the origin that you've chosen. So talking through them, again, anyone watching at home, page 104 of the Player's Guide, we will start with the Fixer. Now, I like the Fixer. I think this is a fun one. And to very quickly read through the paragraph that we have for this, every culture has their talented go-between, and that's you. You just seem to have a way with people and excel at connecting them with what they need for a small fee or favor, of course. You're a wheeler dealer traveling where the deals take you, a hustle here, a shrew bargain there. You know everybody and everybody knows you, and you keep your ear to the ground. Someone's looking for something rare, you can put them in touch with someone who can get it for them. If someone has heard some rumors, it's you they tell over a beaker of cheap rice wine. If there's some if they've got some good juicy information, you're their first stop in passing that on. You use your skills, your savvy, and your street smarts to know what's going on, where the deals are, and how you're going to make the most of them. So this is a fun one, I think, because this is that. It's not all combat based. It's very much kind of interpersonal skills and having that slight, not necessarily arrogance, but that kind of sureness of yourself to be like, I can sort that out for you. I know what you want there. Like, come with me, mate. Sort of mentality. So that's the Fixer as an archetype, which has some very fun talents along with it. Next up is the Gatherer. Now, I look over at Phil for this, who likes I want to be the everyman. The Gatherer is very much the true kind of Iveran everyman, every person. They say Gatherers are a grubby breed, that your hands are always dirty from bringing down lumber to smashing minerals from the mines, tilling the soil, or running the herds. You're the one who's out there doing it. You understand the lay of the land with the uncanny knack of reading what it might offer just from the slope of the hills, the colour of the rocks, and the path of the streams. And you're used to living in it, climbing where others wouldn't dare to check out the silvery glint in that rock, fast stepping across rapids to get to that lush little glade where you're sure rare herbs and spices grow. All this time in the wild has made you self-sufficient. It's more than toughened you up. A few would call you grubby to your face, not just because you might let your temper get the better of you, but also because they know they need you a hell of a lot more than you need them. That is our Gatherer, our kind of worker, our real hardy person. Next up, we have the Grabber. The Grabbers are they're all great archetypes. The Grabber's a fun one. The Grabber's are one that's like going into these mega cities and running around trying to get as much salvage and tech and all the hidden treasures as they can. So Grabbers are a breed apart. choosing to delve into the deepest and most dangerous of ruins, seeking out the powerful treasures hidden within. It may be high risk, but high risk means high reward. If you know your business the way you do, light-footed and sneaky, your mantra, get in quick and get out quicker, keeps you away from trouble mostly. You and your crew are not spears or sentinels. You have no interest in facing down wakers or thralls, not when you can sneak past them, get what you came for. Anyway. Enterprising grabbers are always looking for leads to lucrative finds and always advertise their services before going on a run. Grabbing stuff to order makes shifting it that much easier. Then you're away into the wilderness, traveling on your makeshift buggy, automated wagon, or those fancy electric rail bikes you find on the last trip out. Just looking for the perfect haul. So that's a grabber. Again, any origin can take any archetype. And the grabbers are always a fun one, I think. Next up is the Guardian. And again, when I did some of the first initial playtesting, I was a Spear Guardian. I was also the first to die, but that's not coincidental or anything.
Nice.
Okay.
So, a Guardian. You're an average person living your normal life, tending to your farm or business, looking after your family, building a community around you, a place to call home. And you're committed to that home so much that you volunteered to become a Guardian. Any community's first line of defense. It's almost like a community militia, as it were. You have weapons, prized possessions handed down the generations, or the best that the grabbers can find for you, and you keep their actions clean, their blades keen, and within reach at all times. You may only be the settlement's militia, but you are tough, ready, and willing to defend your home with your life, if needs must. Years of practice with your comrades, months of training by the Sentinels, and those times where you had to fight for real have made you into a defensive bulwark, ready to hold out until reinforcements or the professionals arrive. You know that you cannot survive without your community, but likewise your community cannot survive without you. So you're that kind of first line of defense in your community as a Guardian. And then next we have the Mediator, which is a fun one, similar to a Fixer, but with a slightly different kind of orientation. A Mediator, you know that power doesn't really lie at the end of a gun, but in the people themselves. And those who have the strength of character have a duty to use it for the good of the people. You're a leader, an organizer, a local politician, or a doctor, medic, or spiritual advisor. You have made the welfare of the people your personal responsibility, not through fighting for them, but by helping them through disputes and being there to guide them, to lift their spirits in dire days and heal them when they fall. You may have an official role in your local community, an elder, advisor, advocate, but sometimes your natural qualities shine through so brightly that others look beyond those people and to you for leadership. Not all people in this position would seek to put the welfare of others before their own benefit, and some use their power of persuasion and leadership to further their own nests first. So it's similar to a Fix in that it's kind of, they're all about, being very well spoken and able to kind of talk through situations, but rather than being a bit more about personal financial gain, as a Fixer maybe, a Mediator is more about the greater good, the people around them, and making sure everyone's okay. And they do like to heal. Just saying, if you need anyone that has some sort of first aid skill, a Mediator does help that. But you don't have to. It's not that. I mean, I say it's not that bad of a world that you don't need a healer, but
Well, we have two factions that already don't tend to not like each other.
yeah.
I feel like a mediator might be necessary.
And then the last archetype you could play is the Tech. The world relies on people with the skill to fix stuff, the patience to study, the genius to unlock the secrets of science, people like you. Learning at the knee of your parents, you have the know-how to make old machines run again, or slap together new ones that work well enough. You're a mechanic in demand, and the people are always in need of your skills. It's a never-ending job, but someone has to do it, and that's probably going to be you. Working from dusty workshops at the top of your archivist tower, or in the back of a tent in a local Iverian village, you get your hands on every bit of old world tech you can, taking it apart, working out what it did and how it did it, putting it back together and hoping it works. If you're not a mechanic, you might be a scientist tinkering with advanced technology others could only dream of, yearning to uncover the deepest secrets of yesteryear, not just for the good of the people, but simply because you must. You thirst for knowledge. Your thirst for knowledge, even, is unquenchable. I look directly at Jay as I say that, playing
Yeah,
an
right.
alchemist.
We know who's going tech.
And you're muted as well, so we didn't hear any of that.
Oh, I didn't say anything. I very specifically just mouthing, I don't make the rules.
No
Oh
problem.
no.
Where's Phil gone? He's coming back. Luckily, this is character creation. This is chill. There we are. You're
I was using my glyph where to avoid detection by my camera.
There you go.
cool. But yeah, that's the tech. That is our 6 archetypes for you to kind of have a think about. Again, tech, mediator, guardian, grabber, gatherer, and fixer. So what's speaking out to you all?
I'm thinking I'm gonna go fixer.
Okay.
It just feels
Mm.
like it fits really well with the river. To also be the fixer, bringing you your stuff and knowing a guy who knows a guy down the river, you know.
Interesting.
Yeah, I like fixer.
Okay.
But I'm amenable. I could also go grabber or fixer.
See, I think I was leaning towards when I was like looking at the book initially, kind of like come up with a character concept. I was liking grabber, but as I've sort of like thought about who this character is gonna be, I kind of like the idea of mediator.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it'd be pretty cool. It did sound like what you were describing too. You know, like
Yeah, sort of like I want everyone to get along, you know.
yeah.
That's,
Okay.
So yeah, that's where my heart's at right now. I'm sort of filling it out with that in mind currently.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah. Anyone else? Because I could be swayed depending on what the group goes.
Well, I was looking at grabber.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'll
Less
probably go
about like grabbing
fixer.
tech stuff and more of a like grabbing everything else.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. We know Jay's gonna go tech. That's
Joke's on you. I was gonna go tech.
so Logan. What are you thinking?
Yeah, so I love to go against type. You know, it seems like for spears, the logical decision would be guardian or something like that. You know, maybe grabber, maybe even gatherer, right? And this is where, so I'm not married to fixer, but I do like the idea of fixer because again, I feel like it's very against type for a spear. But right, I think there's a couple interpretations of fixer, right?
Mhm.
It can be more about like economy, commerce, that sort of thing. Spears aren't really, you know, as likely to be selling things. They do, you know, tend to like barter their services for goods, that sort of thing. So I would be, you know, comfortable with some bartering, that sort of thing. A lot of like the kind of making friends and connections is definitely appealing to me. But I do like gatherer as well. You know, I think that would be something that would be, again, good for the group, good for that kind of like knowing the lay of the land. Again, they're a very nomadic tribe, that sort of thing. So it'd be that knowledge of kind of the natural world that would also make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I mean, even gathering spices and herbs for my my spear mixture and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Being a gatherer spear is the most monster hunter you could be. Like hunting machines and then being like, no, don't waste any piece of this thing.
Just pulling out.
Okay. I would say as well, if you went gatherer, that would play nicely with Rachel's dreamer. With Rachel being more, you wanted to go more naturalist with that and like more chemistry, biology and stuff, then that would be a cool way for your two characters to have a bond. Because Logan being a gatherer, you'd know where to find all these kind of rare ingredients that potentially Rachel may want as well. So that's a little idea.
Yeah, providing things in the natural world. Yeah. Let's do that then, because since just wants to do fixer, and I think it'd be fun. We can be all the different archetypes.
Yes, or we could totally both be fixers. Whatever your heart is telling
You could also be rival fixers that, I get the better jobs than you do.
Like those in Ocean's 11, there's the brothers, and one of them is like Scott Conn or something like that. I think the other one's Casey Affleck, but like, forget that. But like they're always just like
one-upping each other.
Yeah.
Whatever you would like.
But again, have a think on it.
Through it.
There's no, we don't have to do it today.
You're also welcome to be a tech. I don't mind changing.
I did think, spear tech would also be an interesting combination, but
It's true.
no, I think probably the gatherer fixer. I'll decide which one is more what I'm vibing with.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And again, with attributes like Origins, they give you certain benefits that will build your character and go on your character sheet. You'll gain another truth from that of being a fixer or a mediator and so on. Some more improvements to your attributes and your skills. You'll get an improvement to your tech level, potentially. Your spirit, supply points, and then you'll get some talents. Very similar to your special attributes from your Origins, you get talents as well to pick from, and goals as well. Goals. So when this, for instance, for the fixer, when this character makes an introduction between two people or groups of people that helps them, their group or a friendly community, you gain growth. And in this game, growth is our version of XP. And you don't gain XP from killing mechs or anything like that. You gain XP from helping each other and growing as a person in this world. So from helping your teammates back up if they're knocked down in a fight, you gain growth. Helping each other through different sorts of adversities, you gain growth, and so on from that way, which then you can spend later to unlock bits and pieces. And you'll gain some equipment from your archetype as well. So have a look through them and then pick your talents based on that, and we'll chat about those after. Whilst we continue through character creation a little bit. So after you've picked your archetype, you'll pick a temperament. So here's a fun little bit. With your temperaments, it's now you don't have to play into your temperament. There's no detriment to not doing that, but your temperament kind of gives you a little bit of a help and a guide on kind of the mindset of your character and your kind of attitude, as it were. And again, there are 6 temperaments to choose from. There's circumspective, demonstrative, conspicuous, stubborn, manipulative, and maverick. So to go through them a little bit, circumspective is you're very careful in how you make decisions, perhaps too cautious. You consider all the angles and only act when ready. Demonstrative is when you excel, you want everyone to know it. So you're the show off. Conspicuous, can't even say that word today. You live life loudly and intensely. You're quick to anger, quick to laughter, and grab existence with both hands. Stubborn. Once you've decided on something, nothing changes your mind. Manipulative, you plot and scheme, creating cunning plans to ensure your success. Not that they're always going to be successful. And then last one is maverick. You're daring, but undisciplined and unpredictable, preferring to handle things your own way. So, some ideas there to choose from. Again, you don't have to play into that type. It gives you that little bit of an RP aid, and it adds some stuff to your character, such as, again, attribute and skill improvements. It helps you select your bonds, which we'll talk about in a second because we're nearly at that. Your drive and your exhaustion, which is what happens when you run out of spirit in this game, which again I'll talk about in a second. So there are 6 different temperaments there. Pick which you want to go for. If you've got an idea, let me know. If you want to think about it, we can do until next session.
What are,
I
what are y'all
think
doing?
I'm going manipulative.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Hey,
Oh, I dig
Unexpected.
it.
always a negative, you know. I think it could be a positive.
Whoa.
Sometimes people need to be tricked into believing in themselves. That's what I'm
Interesting.
gonna go with. here.
Interesting.
That is
You can do
so
it. He's still gonna
interesting. I
die.
love that.
So one of the interesting things I did notice with like different each temperament has like a specific thing to bonds. I know you said we're gonna kind of hit bonds later,
Yes.
but do you mind explaining a little bit of like how that works?
Yeah,
With,
so
like, 'cause there's,
bonds-
like rivalries and bonds and that sort
Yeah,
of thing.
so you have 2 types of bonds, and they're basically like you have a solid friendship between you and another player, or depending on how many bonds you get, depending on the group size. For a group of this size, which is 5 players, you all start with 2 bonds. If it's a supportive bond, it basically means that you've got that strong friendship, that little support structure there, so that mechanically, if a player goes down, runs out of spirit, needs healing as such, and you help them and they're your supportive bond, when you spend some of your spirit or some of the group momentum to heal them, they'll gain extra because of that supportive bond. Whereas with a rivalry, which potentially you could say that Jay and Rachel will have a rivalry, being an archivist and a dreamer, it's more that, like, again, one-upmanship and showing off against each other. So if one player performs an action and spends threat to do so in front of their rival, it will add additional threat, which is a currency a GM gets. But yeah, so it's more a case of it's you can use it in 2 ways. You use it for its base mechanical function, which is additional bonuses during gameplay, or you can use it in the role play focus of this is your supportive bond or rivalry, it's a best friend, or it's the person you dislike the most of the group as well.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, and then with your temperaments, like, again, it kind of tells you if you're going to be more focused on having a rivalry, or if you're going to be more focused on having a supportive bond, or either or as well.
See, I'm leaning demonstrative,
Okay.
which also means I have to have
That's
a
so funny,
rival.
'cause that's also what I was looking at.
I feel like we already know where this is going. We've hit like the stereotypical of Aaron Prime situation here. Archivist, Dreamer, both demonstrative. We got this.
I like it. I like it. Logan, what are you thinking?
I'm leaning towards Maverick. I could also see Stubborn working, but for kind of like the character as I was conceptualizing him, you know, this kind of the who's actively hunting these monsters, these robots and stuff. You know, being a little daring and wanting to, like, I'm going to do my thing, and I think that'll be fun, especially with some potential conflict with this manipulative mediator character, right? Where, you know, you've got a plan, and I'm kind of like, well, I'm going to do what I think is best, or, you know. So I don't know. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
I like
Yeah.
that one. Okay. That should be fun. Josephine, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm between demonstrative and conspicuous,
Okay.
I think. I think yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Acted recklessly. If your group faced a problem because you act recklessly or draw attention to yourself needlessly. I feel like that maybe sounds like the way the character is leaning. as a fixer, and also it's like, you know, you're talking to people, you live life loudly. It's like you have traveled up and down like to so many different people. But demonstrative is also fun because, you know, when you excel, you want everyone to know it. So those kind of like both kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Unless
I will say Jay and Rachel are both going
are they?
demonstrative.
Okay.
I'm also, I just put in our Discord as well because I didn't want to interrupt, but I'm also looking at circumspect because I think it would still be a funny like contrast to Jaden's demonstrative.
Okay, yeah.
This is true.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
I'll go
accidentally made my character
conspicuous
real
then.
obnoxious. I didn't even mean to go that hard. I was like, yeah, it'll be a little fun, and now I'm like, oh, he's kind of mean.
Kind of a
Not
dick,
me.
bro.
Yeah, I'm like, oh,
Okay.
I know it all, and I'll make sure you know it too.
Yeah. Okay. I think conspicuous. I think I'm now leaning into being like a smarmy pirate, essentially.
Very cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's good. That means at least some people are going to have supportive bonds in this group, and you're not just all hating each other. Because we were close then with everyone just being like, we've all got rivals.
Well,
We can
conspicuous,
also have a supportive.
True,
conspicuous
but
is a rivalry.
yeah. But you do get, because of the group size, you do get start with 2 bonds, so you can have
Okay.
a supportive bond. But you could just pick to just have rivals, and just it'd be one of those things where you're all forced together. It's gonna be
I
fun.
am so scared. Yeah.
So now that you've picked your temperance, again, you get a bonus to your attributes and skills. You've now got your bonds. You get your drive, which is another little additional stat you can put in there. So for instance, with Maverick, your drive is when the GM spends 3 or more threat at once, you regain spirit. I'll explain what threat is in a minute, because I've mentioned it several times and you're all like, what's that? That doesn't sound good. But now that we've done temperance, we're on the finishing touches. So we're calculating spirit, supply points now. So your spirit, to calculate the number, is a character's spirit pool is equal to half their resolve rounded up. Obviously plus any modifiers you gain from your origin or archetype.
And our spirit pool will play into.
So your spirit
What?
is... Spirit works for 2 things. One, it is in essence your health. Your number of health, so how many injuries you can take during combat. But also spirit is a currency you can spend in the game mechanically. So in terms of the gameplay, this is our 2d20 system. So to make a skill check, I will set a difficulty, which will be from 0 to 5. And I will say, roll for example, roll me a might fight check with a difficulty 2. So what you'll then do is you will roll 2 d20s, and you need to get underneath your might to succeed, equal to or underneath your might. But if you roll equal to or underneath your fight, your skill, it's classed as a critical success, and it classes 2 successes. So if it's a DC 2, you need 2 successes. So that's why you roll the 2 dice. But if I said it was a difficulty 3 might fight check, because this creature's a lot bigger than it was previously, and you've pissed it off, so it's got a bit more anger, so it's gonna be a harder fight. You're like, ooh, I might struggle with just 2 d20s. That means I've got to get below my fight, which is a 1. It's gonna be insane. So what I'll do is I will spend a point of spirit to buy an additional dice, and I will roll 3 d20s, and you can do that up to 5 d20s. You can roll to 5 dice in an attempt to make the skill check.
Very cool.
And then another mechanic in 2d20 games is called momentum, which is a group shared pool of momentum, and you can have up to a maximum of 6. So if it was a might fight check, as we were doing, and it was a DC 2, and you rolled 1 die underneath your might and 1 die underneath your fight, that's 3 successes, but the DC was 2, so you have a spare. That spare generates a point of momentum, which goes into a group pool, and then if you're running low on spirit because you've been spending it to buy dice, or you've been taking injuries in combat, you can spend a point of the group momentum to buy back a point of personal spirit. and vice versa. A player can spend a point of momentum to give another player in the scene spirit. So that's a way of group first aid. And if you have a supportive bond with that player, you gain an additional point of spirit as well.
Very cool.
Now, if you don't have any momentum or enough spirit to spend to do something, you can spend threat. Now, you do not have threat. Threat is an infinite number. You have as much threat as you want to spend, and I encourage you to spend as much threat as you want, because threat is my version, is the GM's version of spirit momentum. Because when I gain threat from you guys, and depending on the scene, I start with so much threat, I can spend threat to make DCs harder, to add extra dice for NPC dice rolls, and to generate truths. Now, you all have truths from your character creation, and you can create truths through spending momentum in the game. Now, a truth is, the way I work, the way I kind of describe it is, it's a fun narrative word or phrase that is imparted in the game that can turn into a mechanical one later. So, for example, if you're in combat against a giant mech and it's one that's got tank tracks, and you attack it and you do, say Logan, you attack it with your electro spear, and it was a DC 2, and you rolled 3 successes. That extra one, you got momentum, you said, I'm going to spend that to create a truth, and the truth is it's got a chink in its tracks. Now you've stabbed it into the tracks and you've made a chink. So that could be a little narrative thing we role play through, where you've done it and you managed to like pop one of the tracks off, and you can hear it when it's moving. It's like chinking, chink, ching, 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 ching as it rolls along. But mechanically, we could turn that into a mechanical thing where, okay, now the difficulty to attack this mech, if you're focusing on its tank tracks, is reduced by 1 because you've made an opening to make it easier for the rest of the party to attack it. So you can do that, but you created that by saying, I'm creating a truth. The truth is that it's got a chink in its tracks. And we can play it that way. Or another example is, you all go to a party and you're all having a drink, and I make you take like a resolve survival check and you fail. I will spend threat and go, I'm creating a truth, you're drunk. So for the rest of this scene, you're drunk, so you can roleplay it as your now character's a little bit sway, a little bit lucid, a little bit slurred. But mechanically, if you have to make any other resolve checks during that scene, it'll be an increased DC. So you can do these fun additional narrative things. Yes.
Very cool.
Maybe I missed it in this, but what are we supposed to put under our archetype goal on our character sheet?
Let me double check that. Oh, so that's on the section for archetypes. Each archetype has its own goal, which is like another mechanical feature. So for a tech, when this character solves a problem caused by technology that threatened them, their group or a friendly community gains growth.
Yes. Nope, I was in temperament mind and I was still just thinking that.
No problem.
Okay.
But in essence, mechanically for playing the game, that's it. You roll lower than your attribute is a success. You roll lower than your skill, it's 2 successes. And you need several successes depending on the difficulty of the test. And you can spend spirit to buy dice, and you can spend momentum to buy back spirit, and so on. And there's a few other bits and pieces that they can do that I'll show you in the interim, and I'll give you all kind of like a little cheat sheet, quick reference on spirit, momentum, and everything for when we start the session. Or sessions even. The only thing to quickly talk about is, from your temperament, it tells you what your exhaustion is, your type of exhaustion that you would get. So the way that works is, during combat, if you run out of spirit, or in any situation you've spent all your spirit, or you've run out due to injury, your character becomes exhausted in the scene. Rather than just going down and being unconscious, you're exhausted, and that type of exhaustion depends on your temperament. So if you're manipulative, you gain the exhaustion of confused, which basically will shut off one of your attributes, so you cannot roll on that attribute. So it would be an auto fail on that attribute, which I believe for that one is resolve. It's in the exhaustion part of the book. I'll have a look in a bit, but I think it's resolve. So it turns off resolve, so you cannot make resolve checks, and it adds threat to the GM if you
Yeah, and
have for that.
And once again, you said the spirit is calculated by taking our resolve at this point. We
Yes.
divide our resolve by 2, and then that's when we would go back to our archetypes or whatever that said like plus whatever to spirit, and then we add it in after we've
No, so add it all up. You add those in after to your spirit. Yeah,
after we've divided that. Yeah.
Yeah, your
Okay.
Origins and Archetypes will give you your total. Your Origins and Archetypes will give you your total resolve, and then from that you half it, round it up, gives you your base spirit, and then any additional you get from that you add on, and that becomes your max spirit.
Got it.
And then that works the same.
I get no bonuses to spirit.
Yeah, but you've got a higher tech level than everyone else as well,
I
so
do.
you get all some
I
extra
do.
bits. The other one you calculate is your supply points. Character begins with a number of supply points equal to their operate skill, plus any modifiers gained from other stuff. Now, supply points is our game's version of getting rid of the need to have an inventory for your character that has like 12 million pieces of equipment in. Like, you don't need to write down you have 20 foot of rope, you have a flashlight, you have a box of matches, you have this, that, and the other. You have supply points. So in the game, the way this works is if you go into, say, an abandoned research facility, and you go and you go, oh, it's pitch black, we can't see anything. You know what? I'll pull out my flashlight. I'll spend 2 supply points, pull out a battery, a bulb, some wire, whip it together. For the current scene, I have a flashlight now, and it works because you spent those supply points. And at the end of the scene, it breaks and it's unusable again. So you can create small items and bits of equipment by spending supply points rather than having a finite number of things you've got on you. You just use supply points. And you can find stuff around. So if you're looking around a place and you find a storage crate and you open it, you go, oh, what's in here? What equipment, what gribbly bits are in here? You know, you can look through that and you'll gain a number of supply points, which kind of equate to you found out this much like salvage scrap that you can utilize for something else. And then you have that, and then you can just turn it into whatever you need. You need a crowbar, 2 supply points. And then you've got it, but after you've used it, it breaks. It gives you your single-use items rather than having to kind of log a ton of different things. And then once you've done that, you've got your bonds, which we've discussed. Your archetypes give you some base equipment. You've got your goals from your archetypes as well. But not just that, there's character goals. So this is something I want you guys to kind of think about and take away until we come back. Because every character has something they want to achieve, some distant ambition or objective they want to accomplish at some point in their lives. These goals are what kind of shape and drive a character, giving meaning to the actions they accomplish in the short term or in the long term. So for this game, for those watching, it's going to be 6 sessions when we begin the story. So think of a short-term goal for your character whilst you're out on this expedition, shall we say. What are you after? What do you need? What do you want? Why are you doing this? In terms of like the long term, with Dreams Machines as a game in a line, like we want your characters to have long-term goals for when you're playing this as a campaign and stuff, or short-term even, so that you can achieve those goals, because you gain growth and XP through playing the game and by growing as a character and as a person. But at some point, you're not going to want to keep adventuring all the time. You're not going to want to keep delving into these dangerous situations. You know, at some point you want to just kick your feet up, sit on a farm and watch the corn grow, you know? So why not have that moment in game? And when you do, again, this won't happen in this 6th episode game, but you can retire characters in Dreams and Machines, or you can have your character die in game through combat where you ask that they don't, regain spell, they don't get back up. And in allowing your character to retire or die in the game, it will unlock some new things for the party. So if a character dies or you retire a character, it will unlock some advanced archetypes that you can pick afterwards, and some level ups on that. So like if you retired that, say Logan, you retired your spear, they went on, they did this pilgrimage as it were and took down this big mech, and you're like, you know what, they're content with where they've got to their lives. They're happy to just stay in their community and teach the next generation. And you retire, you're like, okay, you do that. The campaign's still going on, but your character's like hit that point where they're like, I'm done, I'm good. Well, let's roll you up a new character and rejoin the group. But it unlocks new archetypes, so you could then play potentially as a sentinel, which is like, we talked about guardians being the town militia. Sentinels are these like super teched out, big pulse weapon, big like heavy hitting fighters, and yeah, they're the full sci-fi, big gunned, armored up people that we all know and love from all these space games. You could play as those or some of the other archetypes that we have. So it unlocks those for later gameplay, if you retire a character or die. But that's based on you having a goal for your character. So it's not just an endless cycle of we just keep doing the same thing. Like let's make the story more meaningful and have a point that we're trying to get to, and a reason why we push through these things. And it just helps build that kind of roleplay story for your character and your group from a start, middle, and an end point.
And these are ones that we'll create ourselves,
yeah.
right? It's not like there's a pool to choose from.
No, these are just yours. Okay. as you build your backstory and your character. But once we've done that, once you've kind of gone through that is your character made there.
Do you want to know the because we have like other talents for our archetypes?
Put them on the sheet. We'll learn about them in the adventure as they come up.
Hell yeah!
Very
all right, cool.
Well, yeah, that's kind of a run through of character creation. A little bit of a deeper dive. You know, if you've read all the material and you know the lay of the land of character creation, it can be quite quick, quite snappy with this system. But you can, as you've seen here, we can do a little bit more of a deep dive into it and get into the nitty gritty of things. But from what I can gatherers, from our group, we have an Averian mediator, an archivist tech, a spear gatherer, a dreamer grabber, and a river fixer. From the sounds of things, I think it's an interesting group. I'm quite excited to run you guys through this little story that we're going to be putting out. So yeah, I think that's a good jumping off point. Now that we have our characters in hand, and then we're going to go away, finalize the character sheets. Everyone's going to kind of work on a little bit of a backstory and link everything up before we jump into the adventure next week. And yeah,
we'll kind of get like the bond stuff sorted.
Yeah,
in the interim.
exactly. Yeah. We'll chat about those off stream, as it were, and kind of build those. So our characters are all now prepped. We've got everything statted out. Now it's just a case of a little bit of backstory and joining some bonds and some rivalries, and then I'll throw you into the world of Avera Prime.
Very nice.
Awesome! I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Let's take over the world. I'm gonna be the brand new builder. I mean, what?
God. Wait a minute.
It's derailed already. Oh.
I derail before we get on the tracks to make sure we know where it's going.
Yes.
It's an all-terrain
Set the
train
expectations.
Yeah.
You build tracks, and that was your first mistake.
Yeah. I'm already rethinking some of my story just from this, so we're all good.
Very nice.
Cool.
I love that we're doing the bonds off stream, because then the audience just gets to discover who we get along with and who we don't.
Mm-hmm.
There's some obvious choices, but I think it'd be interesting to see what.
It's not obvious. What are you talking about? We're gonna change the status quo here.
A dreamer and an archivist are gonna get on. Why? Changing everything.
That's how you get biomechanical engineering. We got this.
Cool. Okay, well, we'll call it there for today. For those watching, thank you all very much for sticking around. Hopefully, you've learned a thing or two about character creation in Dreams and Machines. And if you've got the books yourselves, we'd like to hear what characters you've been making. So jump in the Modiphius Discord, in the forums, and all our socials, and let us know about your characters and your groups and the group kind of makeup and how things are gelling there together. If you've not got the game, then what are you doing? Go out and buy it. It's a cool game. Go to dreamsandmachines.com, tells you all about it. We have the starter set out. All the core rule books are on pre-order now, but if you pre-order it, you get the PDFs and they will be with you straight away, and then the physical books will be with you very shortly, I promise. They're on the way. But yeah, please check it out. It's cool. And check out other Modiphius games. We have a lot of fun roleplay games, board games, miniatures games, for some very beloved IPs, and some more of our own stuff. But yeah, we'll call it there. We'll say goodbye for now. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Same time, same place.
Goodbye for now.
Bye.
Bye.